Hello everyone, greetings of the day. It is class 12th topic of economics, determinants of demand. The chapter is demand and law of demand. I'll be covering this topic, determinants of demand, which means factors affecting demand. So the factors affecting demand, first of all you can see is price of the commodity itself. Okay, the price of the commodity itself. How does it affect the demand for the product? As the price of the commodity rises, people buy less quantity of that because people find it costly. People, like a normal consumer, wants to buy more when the product he finds the product cheap, affordable. So price of the commodity. So I'm writing over here in very simple terms that to show you the cause and effect. As the price of the commodity rises, what will happen to its demand? Upward pointing arrow indicates increase or rise in the price, and downward pointing arrow I'm making in front of demand to show that the demand for the quantity, demand for the commodity is going to fall. People will buy less quantity of that commodity. Then second factor is income of the consumer. Now to understand the effect of income of the consumer, we need to understand that there are three kind of goods basically, children. First category is of normal goods. In the case of normal goods, what happens? As the income of the consumer rises, his income rises, his purchasing power will increase. So what will happen? He will buy more of these normal goods like clothes. He'll buy more clothes, okay, more number of shirts, more a pair of jeans, more footwear, okay. So what will happen for the demand of normal goods? Demand for normal goods will increase. Furniture, household appliances, TV, refrigerator, all these things of comfort and clothing, these are all normal goods. And so there's a positive relationship between the income of a consumer and the demand for normal goods. In this case, how we show it on a graph, I can show you here. Let's say here's your y-axis, here's your x-axis. Now what we have to do is income we have to take on the y-axis, and just a moment, I adjust it. So children, on x-axis we'll take quantity demanded. Okay, so what will happen is, suppose the income of the consumer on y-axis is at point y. Okay, so at this point he's demanding, suppose he's buying quantity q. Okay, so where do we plot the point on the graph? Somewhere over here. With the ruler we'll do over here. Okay, now what happens? As the income of the consumer rises, you can see I pointed one upward pointing arrow. Suppose the new income is now y1. Okay, so at y1 the consumer is going to buy more of these normal goods. So he buys, let's say, q1. So with the ruler we'll make a horizontal line from y1 as the new income, and with the ruler, I'm not using ruler right now, just to indicate from q1, as you can see, OQ1 is the new quantity. Wherever these horizontal and vertical line are intersecting, here's the new point. Now we'll be making a demand curve, cutting these just to indicate the somewhat like this. This is a positive slope. not a negative slope. So this is NG. NG indicates normal goods. This is the demand graph for normal goods, indicating a positive relationship between the income and the demand for normal goods like clothes, okay, mobile phones, footwear, furniture, normal goods. Then we move to inferior goods category to understand the effect of income on the demand for inferior goods. Now, children, inferior goods are of generally poor quality, and these are consumed by low income groups. Generally, poor people consume these inferior goods. Okay, so here what will happen is, as the income of a person will rise. Just a moment. As the income of a poor person, there's a poor person, let's say he's consuming very inferior kind of rice. Rice comes in very wide variety. There's basmati rice, okay, which is very costly, and then there are low quality rice, okay, and then there is very cheap quality rice which is very thick, and that is available in ration shops also, and that's quite cheap. So let's say a poor person is there and his income is very low, so he's consuming very poor cheap quality of rice, the lowest uh, the cheapest kind of rice he's consuming right now. As his income rises a bit, he gets an increment in his wages, and so his income rises. Okay, but he still uh, is in the low income bracket. He's in that group only. It's not that his income has risen so much that you can call him a middle class person or a rich person. He will be still regarded as a poor person. So what will he do? He will now be buying more quantity of this cheap quality of rice only, so as to store at home. Okay, so what will happen? As the income of a poor consumer rises, the demand for inferior goods also rises initially, but not. See, one more arrow I'm pointing out, a visual I'm giving you. Let's say the same person, his income rises further, or let's say he works hard, he clears an exam, government exam, and gets a good job. So his income rises further. His, in, his income rises further. So now let's say he's no more under the poor category, and he now becomes a middle class person. So what will he do? He will now switch over from that poor quality, cheap quality of rice to better quality rice. Maybe basmati also he would like to enjoy. So what will happen? The demand for these inferior goods is gonna decrease. This can be shown with the help of a demand curve graph. So let me just make some space. We'll plot the graph. So in case of inferior goods, children, let's say here's the y-axis, O and X. Income on the y-axis, okay, quantity demanded on your x-axis. Now, how will this curve look like? Pay attention. It will be like this. Okay, backward pointing. I'm calling it IG. I for inferior, G for goods, as written above. Why? So let's say his original income is OY on the y-axis. I'm putting it like Y. At OY income, his original quantity which he buys right now is OQ. Fine. His income rises. He gets an increment from Y to Y1. So what happens? He purchases the quantity demanded by him, the quantity bought by him of that inferior good only rises to Q1. You can see this. I've written Q1 above this line, okay, because it's not clear over there. So I hope it's clear. Now, initially when the income of the poor consumer rises, he will buy more quantity of this inferior good. Now his income rises further. As you can see, from Y1 it rises further and it reaches, let's say, Y2. Now he is no more under the category of poor person. So what will he do? Now he can afford. So he would buy less of this inferior product. As you can see somewhere over here, I mean, the new quantity will fall not beyond Q1 but within. The quantity will be less than Q1 now. Okay, I hope this is clear. So I hope the point is clear. In this case, another example we can take is that a very poor person is there and he's working as a guard in an ATM. Okay, so the salary is very low, and he's when he's doing his performing his duty in the ATM as a security guard, he keeps on preparing for competitive exams of government. So let's say he first what happens and understand is this thing, that initially he's getting very low salary as an ATM security guard. After 1 year his salary as ATM security guard increases. Okay, so during the first year he was buying, let's say during the first year he was buying very let's say unbranded kind of shoes, unbranded jeans and unbranded t-shirt from local market. Okay, now when the next year he gets an increment in the salary as an ATM guard, again he will continue to buy the same unbranded stuff in uh, but but more number of t-shirts, more number of pair of jeans and more number of shoes he'll buy, but of inferior quality only. But let's say during the third year, when he clears a government exam and gets a good post, his income rises, his status rises, then why will he continue to buy inferior quality goods? He will switch over to branded goods. He'll go to showroom and he'll buy Levi's jeans. He will buy branded shirts rather than going to the local market and buying branded stuff. So why the example of unbranded and branded I gave over here? Because branded goods are of high quality and unbranded goods are of low quality. Okay, just to explain this concept of inferior goods to you. Then we move to inexpensive necessities, children. Inexpensive necessities are like daily necessities like salt, sugar, matchbox. Okay, in this case, how to explain to you that first of all, when let's say a, a person's income is very low, so let's say when he goes to buy ration for the house, he buys one packet of salt, one packet of sugar, and let's say two boxes of matchbox or one matchbox. So but when his income rises, what will he do? He will buy, he may buy not only one packet of salt or one packet of sugar, he will buy more packets of salt, let's say 2-3 packets of salt, so that he can store at home. He doesn't have to come again and again to buy salt packets, because salt you need daily in food. Same thing goes for sugar. So when the income rises, the demand for these inexpensive necessities rises. Okay, then what happens? If the income rises further, as I'm indicating with another arrow above that, income rises further. So it's not that he will start consuming more salt in the food. It's not that he's having right now he consumes one teaspoon of sugar in one cup of tea. Then when he gets an increment in the salary, he will put 2 spoons of sugar. It's not like that. So what happens is the demand of, after rising initially will remain constant, as indicated by a horizontal line. That's my way of explaining it symbolically. How to put it in the form of a graph? Children, here the graph for this would be, like this. Inexpensive necessities. How? Here's the income. Here's the quantity demanded. Okay. When the income is here Y, he is demanding Q. When the income rises, okay, here Y1, he is demanding Q1. But when income rises further, you see the demand remains constant. It's not rising further, it's at the same level.